Welcome, my dear students. We are here into the last but one lesson of the topic that we started up. Remember, we discussing about the algebraic fractions. Right, in the previous videos, if you can go back by the link down here, you will appreciate that we have discussed a lot about the algebraic fractions. We have done issues about the addition of the fractions, subtraction of the fractions, multiplication of the fractions, and also division of the fractions. Now we are in the tip of the topic where we'll look at two areas of concern, and one of it we'll discuss right away in this video. And this time around, we'll look at how we can solve equations that involve algebraic fractions. So it's more like a discussion of which, bearing in mind that we all know how to solve the equations as such. But now when it comes to issues about equations which are having some algebraic fractions, how do we go about them? Right, so here with me, I've got two examples that we're going to use in the discussion so that we can get some skills on how best we can deal up with such type of questions. Right, so here we are, and I need you also to copy these examples. So it's about the solving equations. Right, that's what we have this time around. So I've got two examples here. We first of all discuss the first one. I'll have this one. They say solve the equation. I've got the first fraction, 4 over 2x minus 1 is equal to 5 over, that's 3x plus 1. Right. So what we have here is just about finding the value of x, a variable x. Remember, as we solve the equation, we are there interested with the value of the particular variable. If the equation contains y, then you are there to make up the value of y and what have you for any type of the variable. So we are asked to solve the equation 4 over 2x minus 1 is equal to 5 over 3x plus 1. Right. So here we are there to work out for that. But now, before you do anything else, remember what I said in the previous videos, that each time you'd like to deal with the algebraic fractions, the first thing that you have to consider is the issue about factorization. You need to check the fractions as such, numerator and denominator, of which, let's say, if they can be factorized, the first thing you do is that. Right, so after you have done that, is when now you can proceed to the normal steps. But now if you can look at these fractions, we have on the left hand side, we have got 4 the numerator, and denominator is 2x minus 1. There's nothing that you can do about factorization in this case. The same if you can try to assess the right hand side, where we have got the fraction 5 over 3x plus 1. There's nothing else you can do to both the numerator and denominator. Hence, we have just go straight into the normal procedures. Like, so the factorization is just like the opening door on how we're going to do about the operations. So here we have to bear in mind that each time we need to solve the equations, we have two main methods. So I'll discuss them with you. So it'll be just by yourself to decide which method can I use. Right. Like in this case, we have a fraction on the left hand side, which is 1, and one fraction on the right hand side. So we have got single fractions in both sides of the equation. So the first method that we can do to handle this one is what we call it the cross multiplication. So make sure that this method will always be used only when you have got one fraction on either side of the equation. Like here, we have got this one fraction and that one fraction. So the first method that I was talking about out of the two is by cross multiplication. Right. So what does that mean? So here it means this. On the left hand side, I've got a fraction 4 over 2x minus 1. On the right hand side, I've got a fraction 5 over 3x plus 1. Cross multiplication asks us to multiply a numerator of 1 fraction by the denominator of the other. Right. Like in this case, it means I'll consider numerator for the fraction on the left hand side to be multiplied by the denominator on the right hand side. And again, for that, the numerator on the right hand side will multiply by the denominator on the what? Left hand side. And you can see what there is more like a cross. So that's what it means there. So now what we do then is just like considering the step itself. To say when you say this multiplied by this and this multiplied by that, it will be something that can be written like this. Look, 5 by this, it means we have got a 5 here, open bracket, 2x minus 1. Look at that. Then on this side here, we have got what? 4 multiplied by this, we write as 4, open bracket, 3x plus 1. That's it about cross multiplication. We do cross the numerators and denominator in this way. Numerator multiplied by denominator, numerator by denominator. Right. When we have reached at this stage, I think the rest is just historical, whereby you know it's just an issue about the Form 1, or I can call it JCE, where you just need to remove the brackets. So here what I'll have my 5 multiplied by 2x. What I get is 10x like this. And then I'll have the 5 multiplied by negative 1. My answer I'll get is negative 5. On the right hand side, we also do the same, where we have the 4 to be multiplied by 3x to get 12x. And 4 multiplied by 1, we get what? A 4, like that. Right. So once this has been done, you may now consider issue about the right terms. Right. So if you can look at this stage, we will be able to see that on the left hand side, we have got 10x. On the right hand side, we have got 12x. So 10x and 12x are right terms, therefore they have to be arranged together. So I'll have my 10x on the right hand side like this, and then this positive 12x has to be transferred to the left hand side, so that they have to be together with the 10x. So when we transfer a term from one side of the equation to the other, we change the sign to, like in this case it was positive, now it will be negative 12x. The sum it will apply to the numbers negative 5 and the 4, that are like terms. So what I'll have here, it'd be like a 4 should be paired up with a negative 5. So on the right hand side here I have got a 4. It means this negative 5 has to be transferred to the right hand side. So if 5 contains a negative, when it comes to the right hand side, it now to be positive. So what I have here, it be negative 5 comes here now be positive 5 like that. Right. So you see, all other parts of the processes are just simple and straightforward. So what you tell me here is just a matter of now simplifying the right terms. So on the left hand side, you can see we have got 10x subtracting 12x. You'll be able to bear with me that the answer for this will be negative what? 2x. The same on the right hand side, we have got 4 to be added with a 5. The answer I'll get there is what? 9. Right. So remember what I said earlier, make that you are solving the equation. The m is just to find the value that is representing a variable in the equation. So we are targeting here the value of x. What is x? Right. So if you look at this stage here, you find that you have got an equation which is described by negative 2x on the left hand side is equal to 9 to the right hand side. So for us to obtain the value of x, you go by the same procedures we discussed in Form 1 and also in Form 2 on how you can find the variable. So it means here you need to get rid of the coefficient, which is negative 2 for the x. Right. So to get rid of this one, there's only one operation that you can do. That's by division. You can't think of addition, that will not go. You cannot think of subtraction, that will not go, but it's only by dividing by the coefficient itself that negative 2 will go. Right. So what do we have then? This is what we have. We have that state that say negative 2x is 9. Right. So what are we going to do? We divide by negative 2 in boxes like this, negative 2. Here again, we also divide by negative 2. We divide negative 2 on the right hand side for a reason that we'd like to avoid violating the principles of the equation. Principle of the equation says that any operation to one side, you have to do the same on the other side. Because the equation is more like a balancing. Look at this one. Here, it's just like a first sum on the middle. That's if you consider the left hand side here, the weight on the left hand side should be exactly on the right hand side. So if I transfer this side, maybe this is 5 kg, that is 5 kg. Here I divide maybe by 2. It means the mass there goes down. So I have to maintain. Here again should also be divided by 2. So do the same here to say when I divide by 2 left hand side, I also have to do the same on the right hand side. So I have 2 here goes with that one once. 1 multiplied by x, I get x. While negative 2 getting positive 9, we get negative 4.5. So which means in this case, the value of x is negative 4.5. What does that mean? It means that when I substitute for x here, the value of x on this equation, it means it will balance. Whatever we get on the left hand side will be the same as on the right hand side. Right, so that's the way we do each time we consider solving equations that involve the what? Algebraic fractions as such. Right, so this is what we have. So I mentioned 2 methods of how we can solve the equation. One, cross multiplication, right, and we get negative 4.5. So I'll also solve the same equation by another method. Right, what is this method? Right, so let's start all over. I'll consider this one as another example, but it's the same. So I'll write here to say, or what? The next method is just a matter of considering issues about the what? Common denominator. Instead of cross multiplying, one can consider issue of finding the common denominator of the what? 2 fractions. Right. So here I'll write it because this one I considered as first method. So I'll take this one as second method to say by finding what? Common what? Denominator. Right. So it'd be like, what are we going to do with the common denominator? Right. So it's more like, let us start all over solving this equation. Our aim here is just to be familiar with the skills, because what you may have in exam, the equation might be of different forms. So it's be there to choose which method is better to use in that case. So here we had what? Let's say 4 over plus 2x minus 1 is equal to, that's a 5 over 3x plus 1. Right. Instead of cross multiplication, I'm talking of issue about common denominator. What is about it? We will look at the fraction. This is 4 over 2x minus 1. This is 5 over 3x plus 1. We have to find the common denominator that can be divided by both denominators here. Left hand side is this, right hand side is that. So by what we discussed earlier, when we were adding and subtracting the fractions, those skills that I told you on how to find the common denominator are the ones that are supposed to be invited here. So one method of finding common denominator for the 2 fractions is by simply multiplying those denominators we have here, like 2x minus 1 to be multiplied by 3x plus 1. But you don't have to simplify that. So here I have common denominator. In this case, it should be 2x minus 1 product 3x plus 1. That's the common denominator. Right. So now what are we going to do with that? This common denominator has to be multiplied by all terms found in that equation. Right. So like enough, in this case, our equation have only 2 terms, which are fractions. So it would be like what? 4 over 2x minus 1 product, that is 2x minus 1 by 3x plus 1. That is another method, remember? And here we have got 5 over 3x plus 1 multiplied by the same denominator, that is 2x minus 1. Right? Let me extend this margin now to somewhere here because of space. Right? That one will be multiplied by 3x plus 1, like that. So what do we do? You see that here 2x minus 1 will cancel 2x minus 1, and here 3x plus 1 will cancel with 3x plus 1. What do we obtain then? We'll have 4 multiplied by this, which is like 4, open brackets, 3x plus 1. On the right hand side, we are remaining for 5 to be multiplied by 2x minus what? Minus 1, like that. So it's more like, you see, we are reaching at the same stage as we started with the cross multiplication. Right. Now, what do? We have to multiply this by this, which gives us 12x and then 4 multiplied by 1, it gives us a 4, and after I've got 5 times this one, it gives us what? That is 10x, and 5 multiplied by that, it gives us negative what? Negative 5. Right. So where do we go with that? We just maintain as it is by just incorporating the principles of the equation. At this stage, just arrange like terms together. So in this case, it means we have what? We'll have that is 12 x. 10 should be invited to the left hand side to have a negative 10x. On the right hand side, we have got negative 9. Sorry, that's a negative 5 to be paired with a 4, which when it comes here, it will be negative 4 like that. So what do we have then? 12 minus 10 will be like now, that is 2. So we talk about 12x minus 10x, we have got 2x. Then minus 5 minus 9 minus 4, the answer is negative 9. To find the value of x, as I earlier explained, you divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which in this case is the 2. You have 2 here. Once, then you have got x is equal to negative 4.5. You can see that now the answers are the same. Right. So please students, they're just like simple mechanism that we can use to operate the equations. So you can consider if about cross multiplication or just multiplying by common denominator. So please let me just emphasize on issue about cross multiplication is only done, carried out better when you have got two fractions, one on the left hand side, another one on the right hand side. But if you have got more fractions, we can consider issue about what? Multiplying all the terms by a common denominator. Right, so this is what we have. Now, let me just begin up with example B, where I may ask you maybe to finish by yourself, because the discussions are almost the same. There's nothing new that we can invite in the procedures here. Right, so for example B, this is what we have. Right, you'll be asked to solve the equation. This is B. We have got 3 over x plus, that's a 4 over, that's x plus 1 is equal to 3 over x plus 1. Right, so this one is a little bit different from the others, just because if you can look on the left hand side, now we've got 2 fractions, but here we have got 1. Right, so in this case, as I said earlier, you cannot go straight into cross multiplication. So it'd be up to you as a student to be able to consider the sum steps. But first, for you to come to those steps, you have to at least do something to the equation aside. If you need to follow the first method about the cross multiplication, then make sure that the left hand side you should have 1 fraction, and the right hand side should also have 1 fraction. But if you don't want to do that, what do? Just find the common denominator for x, x plus 1, and what? X plus 1 again. Right. So let me just go straight into the first method, where I would feel like using the same cross multiplication directly. So here there are 2 fractions. So what am I going to do? I'll apply the first operation that we have been discussing in the previous videos. Right. So what do? Yes, it's straightforward. This fraction is added with that one. So what I'll do first is just to simplify this one by adding 3 over x plus 4 over x plus 1. So what I'll do here now, I'll have the common denominator, which is for this one and this one, it will be x open bracket x plus 1. My aim is to obtain a single fraction on the left hand side. That's why I'm doing that. Right, so that I have to go for the same cross multiplication. So here it's still, we still have 3 over x plus 1. Right, so here it means my x will get here once, and this, this x will cancel with x. The answer will be x plus 1, and this should be multiplied by 3. So have a situation like 3 over 3 open brackets x plus 1, and then plus for this, and this x plus 1 will cancel with x plus 1. Then it means 4 multiplied by x to have 4x. Then what do? I have to expand this part. I have 3 times x, I get 3x, then plus 3, then plus 4x at that, over x open bracket x plus 1. While on the right hand side, we still maintain writing the 3 over x plus 1. We have like terms on the left hand side, which is 3x, which are 3x and 4x. So if you take the summation of the two, we get the 7x, then plus 3 over, you talk of what? X, open bracket, x plus 1, and then here we have got what? 3 over x plus 1. That's the story we have there. Right. Now, from there, where do we go? Right. So, as students, as much as you have opened the first, opened the question with the first step, the rest of the story is just historical. So, just be going like that, and right. The step itself will be able to tell you where to go. Right. Like in this case, we still have to solve for this one. It means we have now to do the cross multiplication. This by that and this by this. And obviously, if you can look at this one, you'll be able to consider that now the equation that you have here is a quadratic equation. Now this takes us back into form in the first one, in the first topic about the algebraic fractions, algebraic expressions, where we are factorizing and the like, and we are able also to solve what? Quadratic equations. So let's see what we have with here, where I will need you at least to finalize this one out as an exercise, but we still have to study together. So it means like this multiplied by this multiplied by that in the process of the cross multiplication. Right. So here we have the 3 times this, we have like 3x, open bracket, x plus 1. On the left hand side, it means we have got this one multiplied by this. We have got the situation like what? That is the 7x plus 3, then multiplied by what? X plus what? Plus 1. That's what we have there. So as students, you can be able to finalize that one out. Let me just show you the type of equation that you have now so that I can put you in the line and finalize this one as an exercise. So what we have here, straightforward. Remove the brackets. This by this, you have got 3x squared. Then this by that, you have got 3 what? 3x. And then you go here, you expand this and that. You have got this multiplied by that one. You get 7x squared. Plus what? That is 7x. Then plus 3x plus 3. Like that. So I'll ask you just to continue with this one. You solve until at the end. Find the value of x. Now, from this, let me just give you a guide. The equation looks more like it is a quadratic equation now. So I want to at least recall what we discussed in the previous videos in the past about the quadratic expression, where we are solving the equations. How are we solving the equations about the quadratic equation? Because what we have here is a situation of a quadratic equation. So a task that I give you is that. So what at the end that I expect you is to simply find the value of x. You may either find the value of x in 2 folds. There can be 2 values there. X is something, x or is something else. I'm trying just to enlighten what was there in the past. So in short, can you solve for x? You give us the value of x at the end. Right. So this part will be part and parcel of your exercise. Right. So for today, let us see stop here. Just simple section aside, just enlighten us when it comes to situation how best we can solve the equations which involve the algebraic fractions. How do we do that? So this is the way we do. You consider it's about the cross multiplication, but cross multiplication has got some conditions. Make sure that the fractions are single on either side of the equation. But you cannot use that one, consider issue about finding the common denominator. And you see how I've done it here. But you still insist that one side of the equation has got several fractions. You can make it one. Like here, I've done it like this way. Right. So, my dear students, this is what we had in this video. Right. I still want to ask you to go back to the video so that you be connected and be able to follow the guidance in this topic. Right. So now, here's the link. Go through it. Link yourself and you'll be able to watch all the videos. Right. In the next, which is just the last video, we're just going to apply what we've just discussed in this topic about the algebraic fractions in the real life situation. So how to handle it. Thank you very much.